Hello again, everybody. Todd Michael Putnam here with D&D Creative Table Designs, bringing you another adventure idea. This is the Curse of Everdusk Keep. The Curse of Everdusk Keep. And the story is the adventurers have been hired by a prospector in a small town who has discovered a nice load of profitable iron ore in some nearby mountains, and he absolutely wants to get started and make this happen, and he knows he can make himself a wealthy man. There's a small fortune in there. Unfortunately, the mine entrance is located far too close to Everdusk Keep, and none of the residents in the town are willing to go to the mine and begin excavation and start the process until Everdusk Keep has been cleared out, because the mine has been haunted for well known to be sorry, not the mine. The keep has been haunted for well over 100 years, and it's well known to all. So he has hired the players to go out and clear out Everdusk Keep to get rid of the curse forever, and that way he can safely open up his mind, and he is willing to pay handsomely to have it done because he's got too much cash waiting on the other side not to make it happen. So basically, it's a simple sweep and clear mission for the adventurers to go in there and clear out all of the undead in Everdusk Keep. The backstory of Everdusk Keep is that there was a seer named Archimus who had been for a royal seer for the king, and he lost favor because he was a rather petty and ambitious young man, and he was very greedy and just not generally of good character, and so he lost favor with the king, and he was sent down here to be sent as basically a steward or a ward to help the Baron of Everdusk Keep, which is just a kind of a small keep area out of the way. The king hadn't heard very good things about the Baron and thought, you know what, the two of them will be two peas in a pod, so they can be together. And Archimus, his sole goal was to get back within the ear of the king. And so he was very upset by this demotion, and he spent 5 years with the Baron Everdusk. And Baron Everdusk himself, not really another great man, gluttonous, petty grievances, a very petulant man, and really nothing of redeeming value about him, except literally for the blood flowing through his veins that made him a baron, a minor baron. And so the two of them were indeed what the king thought, two peas in a pod. Unfortunately, they spent the next 5 years basically running the barony into the ground, overtaxing everybody, taxing the peasants into poverty, cutting back on patrols in order to save money so that the king could have more wine and women and things of that nature, which of course made the area less secure. And it didn't take long. Within 5 years, of course, the orcs in the area, seeing the patrols becoming less and less, that the fortifications were falling into disrepair, they built up a large horde and they began to attack the keep itself. First raging through the countryside and attacking the towns and whatnot. And the guards and stuff in the area, many of them just fled because they hadn't been paid in months. So they didn't uphold their duties or charges, and they literally just fled. Some of them fought, but of course they were under-geared. Their gear was out of date, is in disrepair. And so they really stood no chance against the rampaging orcs, who just kind of mowed over them. The Baron, upon hearing news that his small barony was under assault, of course, wasn't going to take any personal responsibility and looked to Archimus to say, why is this happening? And Archimus was all too happy to point to the Baron's advisors, to say his militia advisors, well, it's their fault. They're the ones that are supposed to keep the place in repair. They're the ones that are supposed to keep the patrols going. And the king, all too happy, again, I keep saying king, the Baron, all too happy to push the blame, project the blame for this problem onto somebody else, immediately ordered that all of his top militia members and command must be traitors, and therefore they were literally brought out into the courtyard, tied to stakes, and burned alive, which of course did absolutely nothing to stop the orcs or anything to actually help their already beleaguered defenses. And sure enough, it was only a matter of days before the orcs were at the walls themselves for the keep, and were destroying the bridge and bashing down walls and ready to come through and break into the keep itself. And there was indeed fighting already spilling out into the courtyard. The Baron was just desperate in order to survive. He was willing to do anything, sacrifice anything, and Archimus knowing that if the keep fell to a band of a horde of orcs, was never ever going to make it back into the good graces of the king. He literally saw he had nothing left to lose at this point, and his anger and his petulance, he convinced the Baron to let him cast one last spell that he told the Baron would absolutely guarantee that no invaders would ever step foot inside the keep ever again, and that they would be secure. The Baron, of course, instantly agrees, and Archimus casts a spell that, where at the very last moment of the dark ritual, he literally stabs himself in the heart and utters a curse that just throws a wave of necromantic energy over the entire keep within the bounds of the moat itself. Everything within the bounds of the moat. And every living being, orc and defender, just fell dead. They were killed by the necromantic energies. And instead of the cacophony of battle that was occurring moments before, suddenly the entire keep fell silent. All were dead, including the Baron, including the seer. The first new moon after the keep had this curse had been unleashed, the undead began to rise up from the bodies, and that was over 100 years ago. And ever since then, this keep has been haunted by the undead, who keep constant vigil to make sure that none will overtake it. So, and the way that the curse kind of worked is that the creatures that were farther out, the humans and the orcs that were farther out, away from the center where they cast it, those were all raised up as skeletons. So pretty much everybody in the courtyard and around the castle walls and whatnot were turned into skeletons. The guards that were on the central keep itself, they were turned into zombies. And some other strange things happened, though. Over where the quote-unquote traitors had been tied to their stakes, they also were washed over by this wave of necromantic energy. But their bodies, their corporeal bodies, were still bound to the very stakes where they had been burned alive. And their fury was so great they would not be contained. And so they had been transformed into ghosts. And anyone that approaches their staked bodies, the ghosts will appear and begin to, in their endless rage, for what was done to them, will come out and they will attack them. And over in this section of the courtyard here, where the battle was the fiercest, the wall had been broken down, the orcs were pouring in, the defenders were doing everything they could, not really to defend the Baron, but basically to defend their own lives. There was just this huge pile of bodies as attacker and defender alike fell one on top of the other. And when the necromantic wave washed over, it just all fell into a pile. And so now, instead of being raised as individual skeletons and stuff, they ended up being raised as a corpse golem. Basically, the corpses themselves and all their gear and equipment just kind of raised up and becomes one large, nasty creature that anyone that comes into this area, it will obviously attack, just filled with hatred for the living. And lastly, when the players are actually to make it inside of the keep itself, they will come upon the Baron himself, who has been turned into a gluttonous flesh golem kind of guy, still sitting there drinking from an empty cup and lording over his small realm of undeath. And you can see the corpse of the wizard himself, Archimus, laying there. He's quite dead, however, his body has been raised and he is a flaming skeleton, and he will shoot balls of fire and stuff like that at anybody who dare enter the Baron's proper residence. So, and that's basically it. That's just the idea. It's a simple sweep and clear, but that's a small backstory that goes behind it, why the keep came that it is. And the players, of course, they'll get scrolls and things, and they'll find stuff that basically starts unraveling the mystery to them as to why the keep fell and what happened, as opposed to just being a simple sweep and clear. They'll begin to uncover clues as to why things occurred, writs and proclamations and things like that, and notices that had been posted on the wall about how pay had been cut again, things like that. That would just let the players know what the status of the keep was when the assaulting orc horde occurred. So that's it. That's the Curse of Everdusk Keep. Hope you enjoyed the adventure. As far as the scenery is concerned, the foliage and stuff is a mixture of Monster Fight Club and Dwarven Forge. The walls are from the castle itself are made from Zitterdus, which is a company I believe in Germany. It's like a hard foam these have been painted up. Obviously, this center keep castle thing is also, I think it's like their dwarven keep or something. But it makes a perfect little central citadel type thing, and that's also from Zitterdus. The river, I've used that many times, of course. That is from Pegasus Hobbies. And then like the inside of the keep itself over here, this is all from Dwarven Forge, from various things. The rug, I found them online on eBay. I think there's some Chinese company, if you're willing to wait a month and a half to get stuff. There's these small bunch of different rugs that came in, and those are great. This is some kind of it's actually a Dwarven throne, but it still works pretty good for this. I just found that as a 3D print thing on eBay somewhere. And that's basically it. That's and the mat itself, I'm sorry, is from P-Works Gaming, I believe. P-Works Gaming is where that came from. So that's it. That is the Curse of Everdusk Keep. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. I think we've got over 60 videos in here now, so there's certainly a lot to check out. Not just the new ones coming up, but plenty of stuff in the back that you can see other adventures that we've been built. So appreciate you taking the time to check it out, and I'll see you next adventure. Take care. Bye.